You'll never get me. I'm wrestling with my mom. Every night we get bedtime stories before bed, but she does something more. She wrestles with me for a good night kiss. And I got great technique, okay? I got these pro wrestler moves. I wrap the sheets around my hands, and I hold them tight around my head, and then, and then she wrestles, but then sometimes, then she gets stronger though, and then, oh God, she wins again. To know how important this is you have to picture my mother. Picture a woman in a taller microphone. No? Okay.
Underestimating.
All right. Picture a woman in a Dior dress, white pumps, carrying it like she owns the world. That's not my mother. Take my frame, let's lose 4 inches, take off 60 pounds, let's say, plaid shirt, floods, and a stoop, because she definitely is more leaning over, and a creaking noise, like every time she moves, like a rocking chair, an old rocking chair. And then you just got to get a sense of everything for her is a challenge. And she comes by it honestly. When she was 6, she was sent off to what I call Queen Margaret's School for the Lonely and Abandoned. 5 kilometers from her home, and her parents never visited. She'd go there in September, come back in December, leave in January, come back in the summer, and during that time, they would, well, of course, they would never visit, but they would write on occasion. Parents so close, and yet so far. So, my mom's different, though. When I grow up, I'm going to make a whole batch of bread and eat the whole thing raw. I'm making bread with my mother. We don't have much money, so making bread is a weekly thing. And she's got spaghetti arms and not much strength in them, so she leans in there and she pushes, and her arms are trembling. And she lets me try once in a while, So then I'm pushing around the dough and doing what I can to make something of it. Of course, getting nowhere. But then she tears off a piece, a nice round piece, and she gives it to me, and it tastes like a big wad of salty snot. And I love it, So spending time with my mom like that, it's great. But resentment sets into our relationship around when I'm 7. And I think it has to do with the fact that I discover, something I don't want to discover. We're wrestling one night before bed, and she is pulling hard. She's going at it, and then she takes a pause, and then we get back into it, wrestling some more, and then she's done something she's never done before. She stops, and she says, "It's too hard. You're too strong now." So, no, this is no. I mean, yeah, I want to be strong. I want this, but I don't want this. I don't want to grow up. This is all her fault. So, there's this underlying thing going on now. Sweetie pie, this is my mother. She spotted a spider with a little glass. She puts it over and gingerly slides a paper under it, takes it outside to release it into the wild. She's caring. She's kind. And I see her as weak. Is it okay that I think this way? I mean, is it okay to love your mother but hate her at the same time? It's tough. And then time stops. We're on the highway in the middle of Saskatchewan. We've had an accident. I'm not going to cry. There's pieces. Our camper's been torn in half. There's pieces all over. There's chunks. It smells of oil, and I can taste steel in my mouth. And my sister Jacqueline's kind of sitting strangely, and she's not moving. That's really cold. The ambulances are taking a long time to come. I'm not going to cry. I can hear my mother moaning. She's crying about, she's saying, please stop the pain. And small 9-year-old me, I can't do anything. The ambulances come and we get to the hospital and I find out that a truck driver fell asleep and drove into us. And I find out their mother's in intensive care and that Jacqueline died. Mother can't make it to the funeral. My grandmother holds my hand. They lower the casket into the ground, and I cry like a child who just can't stop crying. It takes a long time for Mom to get her strength back just a little bit. And after a couple months, she goes back to church. And how are you, Catherine? Mom is not happy to be there. Dad's got her in a wheelchair, and it just makes her more of a target. And so she's got to answer questions. So she says, so I answer one of them, and then I ask them, and how are you? And off they go. She looks at them, and she feels such disdain for people that are disturbing her silence, her safe, her reassuring silence. I mean, who can blame her, right? And when she comes back, she gets her strength back gradually, but it's her resentment that settles in, and a bit of defeatism. I mean, case in point, she's able to walk now, and I go to Rexall drugstore with her, and Paul Brown, this crazy guy from school, shows up, and he just sees Mom, flood pants, and tall and lanky and awkward, and he just decides to talk to her. And he says, hi, Pete. Where's Paul? Jim's in the hospital. Mom is stunned. She has no idea how to react. She looks at me, like with pleading eyes. What's going on here? Paul leaves, satisfied with having made someone feel ill at ease. I say, Mom, he's an idiot. And she says, oh, yes. Well, such is life. I say, no. I'm like, no, such is not life. Such is not life. This is not the way life's supposed to be. Life's supposed to be where you stand up for yourself and you defend yourself and you say things and you show me how to do that too. And I'm like, I resent her for this. And then, yet she takes care of the spider. And then there's also situations where she does stand up for me. So I'm confused. Like, for instance, I'm 13. I come home from school a couple hours early, and she looks at me and asks what I'm doing home. And I tell her. It's not 10 minutes before we're at the principal's office, and she is raking my teacher over the coals. Sir Simon is on the defensive. I did not mean to say that Michael is empty-headed. I meant more light-headed. That's not what she said. My cow of a teacher said, maudit tête vide, sors de ma classe et reviens plus jamais. Translation, you're ruining my life, you little turd. I'm a patient Catholic nun, and don't you forget it. So, Mom must have heard insults like that when she was at Queen Margaret's School for the Abandoned and Lonely. And she's not wanting me to be left alone on this sort of thing. And so Simon is paying the price. So I respect my mom for this. And my mom also has like this inner strength, despite her infirmities, that comes out at the right moments. Like just when you want it to come out too. I'm 14 and I've decided I want to start the car for the first time. And I haven't told my mom I've never done this before. For some reason, she thinks someone has taught me that on manual cars, you have to push in the clutch before you start. So we're on a hill. And you're supposed to also check that it's in reverse or not. I turn the key and I give her gas. And we shoot down the hill. It's going to be 3 seconds till we hit the garage that's behind us. But in 2 seconds, my mother takes her left leg and puts it over the stick shift between my legs and jams on the brakes. She brings it back and says, "You have to push the clutch in when you turn the car." My mom. So I'm really, it's tough because I'm really impressed with the fact that she defends me, and I'm really impressed by the prowess, and yet I have this resentment about the fact that she doesn't take care of herself, that she takes care of the lowly spider, but not really herself. So fast forward to 2015, Mom's not feeling so well. Ask what the doctor says. She says, "Hey, everything's fine." Find out, of course, she has 3 months to live, which turns out to be 4 weeks. And it just dawns on me to what extent that she's always put herself out there for others, but she doesn't put herself out there for herself, And I realize as well that I've wallowed too long in resentment. It's easy to wallow in resentment. But what's tougher is to put resentment aside and to stand up and say, let's look at the good things. Let's remember the strong things that have happened in our lives, the things that your mother taught you that really stick with you. And my mom she was actually pretty cool sometimes. She knew how to live in the moment sometimes. And if I can think about those moments, that's when it's really worthwhile. Because sometimes I catch myself and I'm stuck in the wallowing, and I'm stuck in thinking about things that aren't going well. And that's not doing anything good. So I wouldn't give up all of my tomorrows for a single yesterday with one moment with her, but I sure would like to have one last moment with her and relive the moment, this one. Can't see the damn thing. My eyesight's not so good. That's my father. He's sitting on the couch. I'm 15 and want to play Frisbee, and he doesn't want to get up. But I want to play. So I debate with myself. Do I ask my mom? Every movement seems like it could be her last. And when she's with her eyesight, she takes off the glasses, and she kind of tries to see things when she's trying to read. So I don't think there's much hope. But in my mind, she's got arms and legs, so there's a possibility. So I say, "Mom, what do you say? Can we play Frisbee?" And she says, "Well, we can't play catch, but we could play miss." And so we play miss. She stands there in the field with her arms out. I throw the Frisbee, and she misses. And then she gets the Frisbee, and she throws it someplace where I'm not usually. And I miss, and it's fantastic. Sometimes the Frisbee flies right into her, bam! And she just laughs, and she just says, "Oh, well, And we get such a good time out of it. And I think, what is this? It's incredible to me that all these years I could be resenting her, and yet there's this symbol of her great attitude to life in an orange disc, And I think I spent a lot of my time thinking my mom could change the world. Then I resented her for years that she couldn't. When in reality, she taught me something much more important, which was, the best moments in life are often when you just let go and don't control anything, and just, instead of trying to control things, just play miss. And when I can do that, life is pretty sweet. Thanks, Mom. Thank you.